You start
somebody's got
whenever you're
hands in
ready.
his pants over there.
All
No,
right.
I have a dick in my pants.
Yeah, and it's about to come out. It's about to come out. I'm excited for your dick.
It's already out.
What?
You guys just can't see it.
See, I do these without pants too. Nobody can tell.
Whoa.
He had to get one out of the chamber before he went on the date.
Yeah, you never go out with a loaded gun.
No.
All right. Well, I'm gonna be looking this way because you guys are up here, and
Okay.
you're not gonna be able to see Chatter, but you'll be able to hear him.
What's up?
You hear Chatter?
Yep.
Yeah.
You got it? All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, welcome to the RatHole for another episode of the Whole Conversation. Tonight, we got Chatter Squeep setting in, and with the boys from Disappearance. Got Brandon Austin, Andrew Bosko. Andrew's camera just went off. Apparently, Andrew doesn't want to be part of this. So right now, we got Brandon Austin. What's up, Brandon?
Oh,
Andrew's
welcome back.
I'm back.
Sweet.
Just
So
gotta
how's
make
the-
my entrance.
How's the weather up there?
It's a bass player thing. They gotta seem important. I gotta come in right on time.
Yeah. I mean, everybody knows that, what is that, casually late? It's back in.
Absolutely. But when you're a bass player, you gotta be in right on time. You gotta make that right entrance.
I mean, you are the link between percussion and strings.
I'm the whole package.
That was the word on the street. So I'm glad to have you guys on tonight. I think it's going to be an interesting show, and really happy to sit down and talk to you guys for a little bit. Andrew, like I said earlier, if you got to dip out to go get your pee-pee touch, that's cool. Me and Brandon can just talk. But anyway, where's everybody in the band from? How'd y'all get together?
So, it's really all Craigslist based. Well, almost all of it. So, I started it 6 years ago. Actually, in about 2 weeks, 6 years is how long the band has been together. I put an ad out on Craigslist looking to get into a band. Found a couple people, found our original singer, and then people started moving around. Andrew is probably our most technically first bass player. We had a bass player, but then he moved to guitar. But Andrew has pretty much been the only bass player that we've had for 5 years or so. I think he started like 4 months after the band's inception. So then the next one was Aaron. He's probably been in the band for 4 years. Okay, backtrack. I'm from Janesville, Wisconsin. Andrew's now Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Aaron's the next one. He's the other guitar player. He's from Rockford, Illinois. And then Edwin was about 3 years ago. He's a drummer. And then Rob, our vocals, he's from Milwaukee. He is just over a year now. And then Chuck from Beloit, Wisconsin, also about probably just over a year now. A lot of us were found through Craigslist. Chuck, we had known through his previous band that we had actually played with. I was friends with him on Facebook, and he was like, I really want to get into this like genty kind of metalcore kind of project. I'm like, that's us. You should come try out and listen to our stuff. And we sent him a couple tracks, and that was probably the most like goosebumpy day I ever had, was his tryout day, because he came with our song To My Dismay, which is the guitar playthrough that we had just done. And that is almost exactly how he did it when he came the first day. And it was instant. Like, nobody had to like even talk about it. It was like, hey, yeah, you got it. Because it was the connection was there. Everything felt good. And he threw down so hard. I mean, the same could be said for Rob. Again, he was almost the exact same scenario. He came in with the song that we had written. The song had been written for about a year. It's Substance Domain now. and he wrote that complete song and came in just guns blazing that day. And same thing. I mean, we held out because we didn't want to make a decision on the very first person we'd auditioned, because he literally was the first person that we auditioned. We auditioned a couple others after that, but realistically, we came right back to him. And the second time he came back, we're like, yeah, it's pretty much yours.
Sweet.
I'll side note that with Chuck, what's interesting is we saw him at a show about. It's probably I think it was like the last show that we had with our first vocalist. It was over here in Fort Atkinson at a bar called Hijinks, and there I picked him out in the crowd, and we both looked at each other for a moment. We're like, that motherfucker looks so goddamn familiar. We both said that, and then we finally just realized we played, or at least it was my very first local show 10 years ago was at a church in downtown Delavan, just a couple towns over, and his band and my band played there for our very first shows. He was in a hip-hop / Rage Against the Machine cover band, which, I mean, if you look at him, dreads, tall, lanky, it kind of fits.
Yeah, I can see that from his vocals, too.
He was playing bass in that band, and so that's kind of how we originally had met. And then when we saw each other again 10 years later, I mean, my face never changes. This is like a timeless classic. And, well, he's like one of the very few black people in the scene. So it's like he's going to stand out, too, besides his height and dreads. So
it was funny you say that, too, because I remember him from back in his old band, too, Vintage Burning. And it wasn't until afterwards when we saw them within the hour, I'm like, I know him, but I don't remember where I know him from. And then he starts talking about Vintage Burning. I'm like, that's exactly where I know you from. I remember seeing you open for Taproot years ago playing a Korn cover.
Yeah. And his band before that was called Down for the Cause, and the 4 was the number 4. So, it's something that stood out to me as well. And it's just crazy how... we're all pretty much from the same scene, minus Aaron because he's from Rockford, but you see people all the time moving between groups, moving between bands. I mean, this is kind of it's one of the only things to do up here besides just go to work, or none of us are really big hunting or fishing guys. We work our jobs and then we get bored.
Yeah, the scene is very incestual up here.
Yeah,
there's a lot of bands that members start to swap. It's not uncommon for guys to be in multiple bands up here. The funny joke is probably true for just about any scene, is that if you kill 4 drummers, you kill off an entire local scene's bands because there's no drummers left.
Yes, I agree with that. I'm that guy here. Yes, our scene's very much like that, to where people are always complaining that it's the same guys playing in different bands or starting new bands and things like that. And I said it's because they're the only ones here that do anything. So that, I mean, you have those lifers that are going to be doing that and jumping all over the place, and you have those people that are just going to be there because they feel like jamming, or just because they're good enough, so people tried to talk them into being in a band, but they didn't really want to be there. They'd rather be at their house drinking beer and watching music videos, but they just happen to be really good at their instrument. And so you do get a lot of that jumping around. I'm in 4 different projects right now, and if I don't do a whole lot of what's going on, then there's not really a whole lot that gets done. So I understand having to jump around and really manipulate things. But with multiple band shit, Andrew, you do a lot of stuff for Silura and the other stuff in the Shed Rat family too.
Yeah, I've been kind of hoard off to a couple other groups and a couple other things that are happening around, but I'm always willing to, because I have the capabilities. On the other side of this camera, there's recording interface. Obviously, the camera that's recording is an iMac. I've got a couple instruments sitting around me. I got a couple of ways that I can get things done, and being that I've played primarily bass as my longest instrument for 14 years. It's definitely something that I came into this whole group or this whole thing. I met up with Domo that you had on last episode, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I met with him over the Facebook music discussion page, and he just made a post in there, said he was looking for a bassist for a heavy metal project, and that he didn't care if it was online. And I was like, I want to continue writing bass parts, so I kind of threw my name in the hat there, and it just turned out that my idea of like good tone and good playing meshed well with his idea of good tone and good playing. Like not a lot of other bands like a bassist that wants to stand out, that wants to like step on everyone else's toes when they write something like I do. But he's welcome to it.
Yeah. Yeah, see, I enjoy the way that you play bass. Like you make it seem very effortless, but at the same time you have so much aggression when you're playing, and I really, really like that. And that really, really boosts the Disappearance stage performance as well, besides having 6 guys on stage.
Yeah, it's a small army up there. But no, I appreciate that. Yeah, I gathered like the aggression and like the volume and the intense level of playing. I gathered that from Ryan Martine of Mudvayne. I mean that influence is probably clear. The fact that I own 2 of his basses. Yeah. I own 2 Warwick Thumbs, so that's definitely something that has always been there. But before that, I started like obviously with like Flea, Red Hot Chili Peppers. A big influence of mine was actually Coheed and Cambria, their original bassist Mick Todd. The way that he moved around the fretboard, and even like during videos and live performances, he made it seem very effortless. Like he was always in the pocket, that he was always doing what needed to be done. And then I kind of like meshed that with Ryan's more extreme style of playing and more aggressive. Like I go through strings very quickly because I literally attack them against the fretboard, and that's how I get my sound. Is that's the strings hitting the frets.
Yeah.
I don't pluck them up or down. It goes straight into the fretboard.
Yeah, and I really like it. I can definitely tell, like, when we get some of our collab tracks and stuff that get sent to me, I can tell if you're playing bass or if Wojo or Rob is playing bass for sure. Like, not just because of the technicality, but that sound really pops out at you.
Yeah, I think it's one of the things that people talk about all the time, especially when it comes to like people buying gear. They think it's going to make them sound a certain way. They think it's going to like make them like sound like whoever they're buying the gear, like if it's their signature or if it's something that they play. But something that I learned with like even buying the Dingwall, which is something that's out of the norm of what I would normally play, is that it still sounds like me playing. It doesn't really sound like someone else. It still sounds like me, and that's because of my technique and the way that I play. I could pick up a $400 bass and it would still sound like me. Yeah.
So Brandon, what got you into playing that axe back there?
I probably have, my influences go back many, many, many years, because I was 15, so we're going 19 years back now when I started, so...
We can edit that out.
I'm okay with that.
Oh, okay.
It's just, nu metal was my thing back in the day, and the kings of nu metal were Korn and System of a Down and Limp Bizkit and Seven Dust. Some of them all still very relevant now. As years progressed, what got me into heavier stuff was actually when JJO, our local music station up here, they transitioned a handful of JJO overdrive songs to their mainstream songs, and it was End of Heartache by Killswitch Engage and Laid to Rest by Lamb of God. Those 2 songs, and then I can't remember the name of the song. Shadows Fall. There was one.
The Light That Blinds.
No, it was on that same album, something with The Week or something. That song was another one that went on there, and I picked all 3 of those up, and it changed the way I looked at music because I started getting more technical, metalcore kind of stuff. And honestly, the whole gent kind of scene, Andrew turned me on to most of that. I really had no idea about any of the bands I listen to now. He probably turned me on to bands like Volumes and Periphery. And then from there, I led into Monuments and After the Burial and a bunch of other new just underground stuff. And then realistically, what's been pushing me more lately is Spotify. I mean, the coolest thing about this new Spotify stuff, well, I guess it's not new anymore. It's new to me because I just got this in the last 6 months, is the amount of new stuff you hear. You put in what you like, and then it generates things that they think you might like. And oh my God, I found so many new bands this way. What's ironic about it is there's a band that we play with actually our next show in February called Hollow Front that I heard on the Got Gent playlist, and I'm like, oh man, this is super good. And then we got offered a show to play with them, like, oh, perfect. And it's with all kinds of heavy bands, and I'm like, this show is going to be awesome because it's all bands that I admire and that I want to play with.
That's great.
That was really cool.
Yeah, that's great.
But like the 7-string thing, that thing was kind of on a whim. I had never played 7 strings at all until about 3 years ago. We actually started this band out on 6 strings, and then with our former vocalist, she had a very higher pitched singing voice, so we're like, let's try to help you out by going lower. We're going to give you more room to move by us going lower. So we went to 7 strings and drop bass, so she had a lot more falsetto and higher pitched room to move.
Yeah. And
we just kind of always stuck with the 7 strings since then. To be totally honest, I own 1 6-string, and it's an art piece, so I don't even own a 6-string anymore. I'm exclusively 7-string.
Yeah, give me a rundown of your current rig for the Disappearance stuff.
So my current rig, well, we're literally in a transition period right now, but
it's
let's
interesting.
Back to the transition period. So my current rig would be my Overload Reyes 7. That's generally my stage guitar, or my Ormsby Hype GTR 7-string. One of those two are what I play on stage live. It just depends on what I want to play that night. Generally, I'll play the Ormsby more if I have more solos because it's easier to play solos on. I go through a Line 6 Helix, which I'm generally using the PD6505 5150 patch with a bunch of different snapshots to create different sounds throughout it. I use a Aris Effects Savage Drive. I've been using Aris Effects overdrives for the last 3 years, I believe. I've gone through the gambit of what Richard offers. He makes crazy, awesome pedals. I cannot recommend them enough. And then I go into an Avatar cab with an Avatar 212 cab with vintage 30 speakers in it. The change that we've just recently started making is we're going to try to start going more in-house. We've got power speakers that we're using on stage now for just sound to us, so it's essentially a cab, but we're going straight to the board now. And then in the very near future, we're going in-ear monitors and mixing our own sound for ourselves.
Hell yeah.
Andrew's the guy that knows the stuff about that stuff. He tells us what to go buy right now.
All right, well,
yeah, I've been sending out links. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was saying my bad. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I've been sending out links to the guys basically saying, like, hey, this is the route that we're going. I want to get to a point where, for us, the consistency, because we can always provide a consistent stage experience for the people watching us, I feel like. I mean, it doesn't really matter the day. We all just take everything and strip it all away, and once we get on stage, that's our time. So we know we can provide that, but for us, and especially for me, I would like a consistent experience every single time as well. And one of the ways that has always been the variable for that has been the sound guy. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not so good. And especially when it comes to monitoring, some of the sound guys in the area don't even spend a moment actually monitoring the sound. Like giving us a chance to say, hey, I want more of this, less of this. So I'm gonna kind of take that away from them a little bit, and take a little bit of responsibility off of them. And we're gonna pre-mix a lot of our sets, so we already know going into it what we're gonna have in our ears. I'm just getting everything worked out now to where most of the guys in the band are gonna be on one mix. And then me and the drummer are going to be on another mix. That's going to have like the click track. That's going to have a couple of the other cues. They're still going to have cues in their ears as well, but not like the click track going the entire time. Yeah. Maybe faintly in the background if someone wants that. I don't know yet. And then as far as what we're using Behringer 1,000-watt powered speakers for onstage monitoring. But what's really nice about that is if we get to a place that doesn't have their own PA system and we really want to play a show go there, we can turn those monitors into our own PA speaker, go to our in-ears. I can bring my bass rig, like my full rig, and then we have our own PA for that night.
Okay.
We can run everything off ourselves. We don't need a house system, and we still have good monitoring, which is something that I've never been able to say in the past. I'm really excited about.
Yeah.
But as far as the stuff that I use myself for Disappearance, I started out using primarily Warwick Thumb bolt-on bass. It's my baby. I still have it. It's 1997, so it's a bit older. And I started with that, and I just went clean right into my amp. I didn't like distortion. I didn't like any effects. I didn't even like any sort of gain on my sound whatsoever. I wanted it as clean and as loud as possible, especially in the low mid to high mid range, where you always say, like, you can cut through the mix like a hot knife through butter. This was like a fucking chainsaw through butter. It just destroyed mixes, and I know sound guys hated me. Because I would know if I was quiet based upon how the sound guy was treating other bassists, like they were playing that show before me. So I would just turn my amp up. So that's something that I would just do on stage. I would just turn my amp up. My amp was loud enough to do that, but I've kind of come away from that. I've kind of come down off of that pedestal, that one. And
Just that one.
And I've started to realize, like, there are some benefits to doing a couple to making some amends to what I was doing. So I originally picked up a Dark Glass B7K Ultra from Dark Glass Microtubes B7K Ultra, and that completely revolutionized how I treated bass and bass frequencies. I no longer relied on just my mid-range to cut through the mix. I now relied on distortion on my high and high mid-range to color the guitar tone and to be that glue between the drums and the guitars, but then I still have this clean, non-distorted low end, and that pedal allows me to have distortion on my high end, but still have all of that bass presence. And that's significantly helped out our sound. And then I'll be going to a powered speaker eventually, but right now I'm using like a typical amp and cab setup if I need on-stage monitoring until we go to in-ears.
Yeah. I think it's really important that you guys are customizing your sound that you're comfortable with, and it's going to really, really benefit your stage performance.
I think besides our stage performance, I think the other thing it's going to benefit like our consistency every single time, no matter where we are, no matter who we're playing to.
Yes.
It's going to sound similar. And I'm also like the patch that Brandon has on his Helix. That's almost identical to what we use to record the album. The equipment that I use to record bass on the album, that's exactly what I use live.
Yeah.
Including the bass you see behind me, which is my newest bass purchase. It's a Dingwall NG2 5-string, and that, honestly, the fact that I can turn the low mids down a little bit and scoot myself out of that range just brings so much life. Like, there's always this joke of, like, every time you see a Dark Glass product being featured on Facebook or being featured on a website, it's always being played with a Dingwall, and they want to hear other tones and other palettes. But honestly, that bass just has it. Like, there's nothing else. There's really not much else out there. Like, I love my Warwick so much, but that bass is just so comfortable, and it's light. I cannot forgo the amount of weight that is gone from my back.
Yeah. You got anything you want to add on that? You just taking it in?
No, I mean, if I could ask you guys a question, it would be, do you guys remember your first show that you ever went to, and do you think that influenced the way that you went musically whatsoever over the years?
So, my first show that I can remember, I think it was Boys to Men and Brandy.
Yes.
Because back when I was younger, my musical influences ended up being what my parents' musical influences were.
Absolutely.
My first concert that I went to that I chose to go to was Korn, Stained, and System of a Down.
Good concert.
That was a revolutionary kind of show, because that was right around the time where I decided I was going to play music. Not necessarily because of them, but it definitely was a catalyst for me deciding to do so. Like, I still remember how I used to wear my guitar. I wore it low because of corn, because of
I remember that.
Yeah, Andrew remembers my guitar used to be like to my knees, and it got to the point where I couldn't palm mute anymore, and I couldn't play the technical parts. So I literally had to pull up. So I went from like playing at my knees to damn near at my tits now because I have so much more technical parts to play now.
Yeah.
This motherfucker, when I first auditioned for the band, and he was on rhythm guitar, I think you were using like either a combo amp or one of the amps that was at the practice space. I looked over, and like, I don't know if you guys know this meme, but you know the meme that is Represent Your Scene 2008, where it has an ESP guitar, an Ibanez Tube Screamer, and like a 6505 and a bass. This motherfucker was that guy. I looked at that, I looked over, I was like, what the fuck is this kid doing here?
It was a Maxon 808, but close enough.
It was a green pedal that did weird things to nasty amplifiers like that.
Oh my gosh.
But I'll answer this question, and then I gotta go because I got plans.
All right, man.
So I'll answer this question in a couple different parts. My first concert, just that way everyone get it up there, was Avenged Sevenfold supporting Coheed and Cambria.
Wow.
It was at the rave up in Milwaukee, and it was before Backcountry even hit like radio time.
Wow.
So it was like pre-popular event. Like it was old Avenged Sevenfold.
Yeah.
So which is why it's so weird to see those two bands on the same bill. But then Coheed and Cambria, and he just taught me how to like Claudio. He taught me how to be a frontman, even though I've never been a frontman. Like, he just taught me how to like show myself and wear myself on stage.
Yeah.
And then moving on from that, I don't know why that keeps happening. Something is happening where one of my gains is just peaking, but it's not something that I'm even using. Anyways, there we go. That helped. So the next pretty spectacular concert in my lifetime has been Sick Puppies opening for Breaking Benjamin. Sick Puppies, 30 Seconds to Mars, Breaking Benjamin. All pretty much like radio rock and pop rock, but 30 Seconds to Mars especially surprised me because of how great their light show and sound production was. In between songs and having additive instruments behind what you just saw on stage, that they didn't have a keyboardist, they didn't have anyone else like running the commands. They did everything how we're trying to do with a programmed set.
Yeah.
So that was really eye-opening for me. And then after that, I saw a 3-hour performance of Dream Theater down at the Rosemont Theater.
Oh, wow.
And that was, I see your face, you, Brandon, see your face, you cringe there at Dream Theater. Mickey Mouse vocals aside, still one of the best performances I've seen live, just because of how consistently accurate they are over the course of a 3-hour concert.
Yeah.
Those guys are putting more notes in one song than I did an entire album, and they're at the top of their field. Even with the drummer changes and all this other stuff that's going on with them, they're still rocking after 30 years.
Yeah.
And they're still putting on amazing performances. And again, the showmanship. They don't have any stage energy. They don't have any stage presence. They let their musicianship speak for themselves. And at that point, that's when I decided I need to compromise. I'm not going to be Dream Theater. I'm not going to be John Mayung on bass. Just not, because I'm not Asian. But instead, what I can do is I can add this musicianship in between the stage presence and kind of come to a happy medium. So those were like the most fundamental concerts for me. My most fun concert was seeing Victor Wooten, who is a solo bass player. He travels around with his family band, so it's his brother on guitar, his other brother on drums, and then he had a 7-string fretless bass player there, who went from having a Fender Custom Shop. His name's Steve Bailey. You can look him up. He had a Fender Custom Shop jazz bass. He just moved over and joined the Warwick family, so he had a 7-string fretless streamer bass. And that whole show just blew my mind. I got a picture with him. I got like a tons of, like, I got autograph from his book that he released, and it was just cool to see a bass player who I'd been watching YouTube videos of from before I could even play more than 4 notes a measure.
Yeah.
To now I'm like meeting him and having a conversation with him. It was a really humbling and cool moment.
That's really, really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
You satisfied with those answers?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, Andrew, you got anything you want to add before you take off?
No, but I definitely want to be on for one more of these if you don't mind. I'd love to be on one with Domo in regards to sound production, and we can talk about like how we each go about some of that stuff. So I think I'll just end on the fact that thanks everyone for watching. They're going to continue the call. I'm going to get out of here. But yeah, feel free to check out Humanity Pending on YouTube. Don't give me that. Feel free to check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Facebook. Give us a like if you like us. If you don't, still give us a like. You'll never see us on your newsfeed, but we really appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, have a good night, guys.
Yeah, take it easy, man.
All right.
Thanks for coming on.
Bye.
Well, so he's gonna dip out and get his pee-pee touched and give her the D.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, give her the.
That's why we got the shirt.
Yeah. Did you see my hat?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm doing some tests, man. I'm running a bunch of tests. You guys are gonna get some. You're just gonna get a random box now that I have your address. It's just gonna be a bunch of weird shit.
Yes.
That's what I'm doing. That's what we trying to do over here. We're always coming up with like new designs and like cool ways to put it on things, different things we can put it on. I mean, it's every day is a learning experience in the RatHole because we sit around and there's a bunch of us drinking and smoking and we're like, oh man, that would be cool, and then we do it. So we're like a bunch of man children running around in here with all this equipment, and we can pretty much make and put things on whatever we want. So when we get that SRI van up and running, it's going to have a bunch of sweet stuff all over it. And I was thinking that I was on the back of it, so anybody that was following me would just have to stare at "Give her the D" in this giant D on the back of the van.
That'd be amazing.
And if I could figure it out, I want to get all you guys I want to get like the big heads or like the wall things and put all of you guys on the back of the van with it.
Nice.
So the SRI van is definitely going to catch some attention. It's going to be one of those head turners, but not for the same reason like a sweet motorcycle.
So there was a band that we played with some years ago. They were from Tempe, Arizona, and they were called Foreskin, but it was F-O-U-R skin, and they had a motorhome with that plastered on the side of it. That got attention.
That's great. That's great. So, what's coming up from Disappearance in 2019, man?
We are working on new material now. I think we've got 4 to 7 songs working right now, all from varying people. I've got 3 or 4 that I've sent off to Aaron and Andrew. Aaron is working on his own. Andrew's got a couple ideas himself. I think we're going to take a step back from the conventional way of doing things and releasing albums. So we put out that last album because we felt it was necessary. We needed to separate the first album to the second album because we had the vocalist changes. It was very different transition.
Yeah.
It almost, honestly, probably could have warranted a name change because it was so different. We didn't want to lose all that following, so we kept our name.
Yeah.
But now I've been watching a lot of things. A good example, I watched a video from Fit for a King. Their singer was talking about why they did 5 singles for their album. And he's like, we put 5 singles out on Spotify, and they blew up. So you got 5 different experiences to our music, and then we released the album. So that's, I think, the route that we're gonna kind of go. I mean, it's very much the same road that like Silura is taking, where they're releasing track by track. Eventually, what we plan to do though is do singles that will lead to like an EP or lead to an album or things like that. But I think we're gonna be doing a lot of individual content. I've got a big old list of things that I want to do for each one, because I'm not going to just drop a song. I want to drop a song that has a video, has a teaser, has in the studio. So every song will have like a cycle for it. It won't be an album cycle anymore. It'll be a single cycle where I have this that drops this week, this that drops this week, this that drops this week. So it'll be a lot of content involved just behind a single song.
Yeah. That's what we talked about doing for PTO, for the Plum Tuckered Out stuff, is I talked about wanting to release like a Plum Tuckered Out live at the RatHole EP, and because we already have like probably 2 hours worth of original stuff, but not all of it's quite like show ready, and we're kind of keeping it under wraps. But I figured we'd do like a live at the RatHole EP, and that would be with a nice produced video and stuff, to have Domo help out with that, and have that all set up nice, like a studio session video, like most people, you know, run through with that and release the video and the EP. That way we could do audio downloads or sales for that, and with the video content as well, and then release our full length later after that. You know, build it that way, get people, make it more of a personal experience before we give them more. And we talked about doing something similar with Quitter too, releasing a couple singles and kind of testing the waters, like pick one in one direction and one from the other end of our spectrum, and see which one does better, and then work on filling out our full length a little better.
It's really the way to do things these days, because people's attention spans are so short.
Yep, and visuals are important too.
Full albums are almost a waste of your potential.
Yes.
I've actually seen that quoted as that you're wasting your potential in full albums, because people will pick it up, they'll listen to it here and there, but I mean, good example, one of our favorite songs on the album is Westland. It's the last song other than Get Low. So it's the second to last song, but has the least amount of views, or least amounts of streams out of every other song on the album. We're like, why?
It's the last one.
Probably because it's last.
Yeah.
And nobody really cares. Nobody gets that far sometimes. Our first 3 songs have the most streams, and it's because it's the first 3 songs. So
yeah,
the album cycle, I mean, it's all but dead. I mean, you singles are where it's at these days, and if people are really into buying your physicals, they're going to buy them from you, but it's going to be your diehards. It's not going to be your everyday kind of person. I mean,
yeah,
shit, we bought 100 CDs when we released Humanity Pending, and we still probably have 80 left.
Hey, that's another thing I wanted to talk to you about, man. If I can get some physical copies of that stuff, I could probably get rid of like 50 of those around here.
Oh, for sure. I mean, you can send those out at any time.
Yeah, I have people ask me for physical copies all the time, but I keep telling them that we don't have enough. It's too much overhead right now, because we're not sure if we can get rid of physical copies because of all the digital age kicking in.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough thing. You're basically looking for, it's an older generation of people that really look for CDs. It's not younger people. Your 30 to 40 demographic are the people that buy your album.
Yeah.
Everybody else is, what's your Spotify link?
Yeah.
What's your Pandora link? I mean, that's what people are looking for. I mean, myself personally, I don't generally buy physical CDs anymore. I buy it off of iTunes. That's where I buy most of my music from.
Yeah.
So I'm in the same situation where having a physical CD doesn't do me a whole lot of good, because I don't have a way of putting it onto my iPod anymore.
Yeah. See, what I'm still one of those old school guys where I don't like to order the merch offline. I don't like to download your tracks. I will make the drive and come see you at a show, buy as much merch as I can, and go home with a CD. And that I still like to be that guy that lets you know that part of the scene is not dead.
Absolutely.
Right.
And like I buy CDs from bands if I have the money, just to show them that I am willing to put in money, like as a diehard fan. And also, I don't even have a CD player, but I have signed CDs of bands like Every Time I Die. When I personally met them, it was just like a good thing to like keep as a memory, but at the same time, like when you purchase that, you actually show the band like that you care and support for them.
Yeah, it's an actual face with the purchase instead of just another click or a number.
Exactly.
Yeah, in our scene in the Madison area, and even in the Milwaukee area, there's a handful of like the most diehard supporting people out there, not just for us, but for the scene in general.
Yeah.
So a good example is we had a show on Saturday, and a guy that has liked us forever came to our show and bought both albums. It was his first time buying them from us, and bought both of them, posted on Facebook, and the caption was, adding 2 more local band CDs to my collection. So he collects all the local scene stuff, and he added us now to his collection.
Hell yeah, that's awesome. That's kind of a little badge of honor to kind of put on your vest for Disappearance. It's not a big win, but that's the ones that mean the most.
Right, it's the fans that actually care about the scene. It's the people that are like that. I mean, it's always nice to convert people at your shows. I mean, we had one girl at our show who went to and was talking with Aaron about it, and she's like, I'm legit fangirling over this right now, and this, that. We're like, that's the kind of stuff that keeps you going.
Yeah.
Or a really good example was the other day, I joined some group on Facebook, and this guy's like, give me links to your songs with the heaviest breakdowns you can get. So the heaviest breakdown that we can think of on our album is off of the song Blinded, which is ironic because it's probably our softest song on the album, but the breakdown on that is huge.
Yes.
And the dude was like, this is one of the most unique breakdowns I've ever heard, and the fact that it goes straight to cleans and then to a shreddy solo is one of the coolest things I've ever heard.
Yes.
And I took screenshots of this and sent this around. I'm like, this is a genuine fan now. We've just got a genuine fan because he actually dug what we did.
Yeah. See, I like the personal experiences with people like that too. I always, no matter what kind of level that any of my bands got to, I always made sure to walk around and talk to everyone. I was passing out high fives and hugs, and I'd give away shirts. I was losing money, but I didn't care. I was gaining friends and fans, and that was a bigger part of the experience for me. That meant just as much.
Yeah, a lot of time it's just putting the work in. It's going to talk to the people. It's just saying hi and what'd you think, or just shooting the shit with them. I mean, spending that 5-10 minutes with somebody could mean a potential $40 sale for you later, or a fan that comes out later, or he might be like, hey, go tell 10 of my friends about this band. And now you just made 10 more fans because you just connected with this guy right here.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
To me, that's always worth it.
So, I have another question. What all are you involved in Shed Rat Industries? Like, what is your main job, and what do you do alongside with Shed Rat Industries?
So, I'm basically the official manager of Disappearance, so I make a lot of the decisions and stuff for them. And then in Shed Rat, I kind of take on a similar role where I kind of lend my leadership skills. I mean, it's by trade. That's what I do. I went to school for management, so I try to lend as much advice as I can to decision making, to new bands that we bring into the family. Muff knows it. He's like, anytime he shoots us a band, I'm like, there's no names in the profile. I don't want it.
Yeah, their About Me section sucks.
That's like my biggest pet peeve is if I can't get to know you just by reading your About section, then I don't have time for you. Because that is your initial time to shine. If you want to impress me, tell me what you're about. Tell me what you play. Tell me where you're from. Tell me who's in your band. Tell me your inspirations. Tell me the shows that you played. All those things should be right there in your About section, because guys like me that are potentially out there recruiting you for something, that's what I look for.
Yeah.
I immediately will bypass their music. I'm not even lying. The first thing I do is go to the About section every single time, and then I go back to listen to the music, because I'm always going to see what can I know about these guys right now. If sure, their music could be great. I think we had an example not too long ago. The music sounded great, but who the fuck do I contact? There's no names here.
Yeah, there was
no
nothing
idea
there.
what I'm supposed to talk to.
Yeah, there was nothing there. There wasn't any contact info or names or anything. And I sent them, like, they inquired to us, so that's why I submitted it to, into everybody to check out. But then after I sent the message back to their page, nobody ever answered again. So you can tell that they're not active. And it sucked because they were amazing musicians and they acquired about what we could do for them. But we can't do anything if we don't know who to get a hold of or what you're about.
Right. I mean, I guess the other aspect of things I do is I'm trying to keep fresh ideas in everybody's head. One thing that I just kind of rolled out for Disappearance, and I think there's a handful of people that clung on to the idea, was sending out very personalized messages to people. I know a handful of people have jumped on this idea, but I've been sending out not just from the band or not just a, hey, come check out my band. It's a, hey, thank you. Hey, this is where you can find us. Hey, this is where you can go download this. It's a very personal message that I've been sending to people, and it's actually been one of the more fulfilling things that I've done for the band in quite some time, because I've had probably 40 to 50 meaningful conversations with people, either connecting with somebody, setting up a new show, getting somebody to listen to us that's never heard of us before, things like that to me were something that we lacked before. It's just that connection with people. I mean, yeah, people might like our music, but do they even know where to find us?
Yeah. I really I already knew all the stuff, and I appreciated getting the message. Like when it popped up in my inbox, I was like, oh snap.
Right.
I was like, this is cool. And I know all that info by heart now. Like I was just like, this is cool. And I tried it for the Shed Rat stuff and sent out our expectations and our tiers and stuff like that to everybody, and with a little personalized message. And then the first episode of the whole conversation tagged on there, and I got the same kind of results. I had so many awesome conversations with people, and I got a lot more bands that were willing to be featured bands that were willing to be guests on the podcast. We had 2 bands that actually inquired and were sniffing around already, but weren't really sure. But once we put out the podcast and they were able to see kind of more what was going on, we had another one contact us back, and they were actually one of the featured artists we had on the first episode. So now he's going to be, I'm actually going to have him on tomorrow, and I'm going to talk to him tomorrow. And so I think it's going to be a really good thing to get out there and kind of personalize with people like that again, because it was hard for me to do that in the digital age of all the social media, because I'm a face-to-face guy. I come from the generation of, if you want to talk to somebody, you rode your bike to their house and you knocked on their door. So catching up with all this technology I've avoided for so long, being in the management and ownership role of things, I'm really trying to catch up to help everyone as much as I can. And it's a trip seeing, what kind of interaction you can have with people just clicking some buttons.
Yeah, you really gotta stay up to date with the trends. If you don't stay up to date with it, you just fall behind and you become irrelevant. And this is something that was new to me. It was something that I had never done before. I had talked to band members that I know through the scenes, but I never interacted this much with them. And it was funny because a lot of the guys that I know that I talk to on a fairly regular basis, I send it to them dude, you realize we played a show with you last weekend, right? I'm like, I fully understand, man, but I'm just, how many times I've talked to people and they're like, I have no idea that you were on Spotify, or I had no idea that you were on this. I'm like, yeah. Yep. For a good example, I've had a handful of people say, hey, I didn't realize you guys lost your female singer. Dude, that's a year and a half ago. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Some people just don't know. It's not a matter of you don't know who I am anymore. It's a matter of I'm just trying to help lead the horse to water to drink.
Yeah.
Because you might not know. I mean, 80% of people probably have Spotify now. Here's my link, man. Hey, you might not like Spotify. Here's my iTunes link. Hey, you might not like that. Here's how you find me on YouTube. All those things are accessible to you right now, but check it out if you want to. I'd appreciate it. My band would appreciate it. And if you want to share us up, perfect. But just those personal connections with people has just been a huge, huge impact for us.
Yeah, I like I said, I really appreciate it. I had some of my friends that got it. They were like, hey, man, I got a message from Disappearance.
Let me go ahead there. Yeah. Also, with Disappearance, if you guys could open for any band who would you personally want to open for?
That is such a hard question because my tastes change so often, and I've got so many like influences. I don't even know. Like, it could be anybody. Like, there's a show down in Illinois right now, the Apollo, that's coming up in March. It's Seven Dust. That would be so dope to open for. Or Periphery, or Volume. Or I mean, it'd be so hard for me to pinpoint one particular show because I have such a gambit of influences that would be awesome to do to open for. I mean, like, what's tough though is like, from a business side of things, I don't want to open up for a band I like if it doesn't make sense. Like, we've opened for bands before that were like JGO kind of bands, touring bands that were bigger names, but it just didn't make sense for us. Like, we did it because it was exposure, but God, we stuck out like sore thumbs.
Yeah.
But then you pick up shows that, like, a good example is this one coming up in February. I'm going to plug this a little bit, but it's like, I think it's like February 23rd. It's By the Thousands. They're a huge Minnesota band. Hollow Front. They're a huge Got Gent Spotify playlist band right now. I don't know if I'm saying the name right, but it's spelled RVANT. I don't know if they're saying Rant or Arvent. These guys are huge too. And then we're playing with our guys from Milwaukee in Seven Cities Dead. Those are shows that I love to play. To be totally honest, the shows I love playing the most are the ones with my friends. The ones that are like my local band friends that I fucking love playing with. Our dudes in H1Z1 from Milwaukee. Those dudes are some of our favorite people to play with. And we just played with them this last weekend. And every single show we have with them is always so sick. It's always such a good show, and we have such a good time with them. We're fortunate enough again, too, and I think it's March or April we get to play with them again. It's shows like that we dig so much.
Yeah. Man, that's great. Well, man, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. I really, really appreciate you guys making the time to sit down and talk to us. I think this is something that we're going to make more of a regular thing. And I think it's good for all of us to sit down and just communicate like this. It's definitely going to help us not only on a personal level, but on our business level and family level for the SRI stuff. But yeah, I definitely appreciate you sitting down and talking to us. I think we got some real good insight into what's up with Disappearance, where you come from, where you're going, and anything else you wanna say or plug before we take off?
I mean, just keep an eye on us. I'm not promising any kind of dates or anything, but you'll start seeing singles drop from time to time throughout the year. It'll be a lot of content, a lot of things that will be dropping. We've got a lot of festivals that we're applying to, big shows that we're trying to get on this year. So I think 2019 is going to be a really good year for us.
Sweet, man. All right. Well, everybody check out Disappearance. Check out everybody at the SRI family. We're all over the place, all the different links, Spotify, Bandcamp, YouTube, Facebook. Check everything out and enjoy this video from H1Z1.
Sacrifice, bullet Suffering.